I didn't see you there. No, this is what all professionals do. And I never said I was a professional. I'm just a boy that plays with cars and trucks. In this episode, I get Old Blue running and install a parking brake cable. Actually, that's overly stated because I haven't done any of that yet. I still have it to do. So I hope to get Old Blue started and get the parking brake cable in the mail in time to install it in the truck. So, and then I also installed a couple of new features on the 4-post lift. So maybe we'll dive into that too. Just so many exciting things happening. Don't you just love old cars and trucks? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love new cars and trucks too. They're great. I love cars. I love all cars. But they don't make these anymore. There's fewer and fewer of them around, and you don't get to see them. You don't get to touch them. You don't get to experience them. And it's great. It's just great to see how far we've come, but also where we were at a particular time in history and how great that was. So at the time, it was great. Now it's not. Well, okay, it's great and not great. So the driving experience, not great. They can be terrifying until you get used to driving them. But the build quality and the real, ouch, I got a split on my knuckle and I just hit it. The real materials they use, the glass, the metal, the plastics, they are, I would argue, better quality materials than they use today. Now, of course, today's vehicles, a lot of them are built with lighter materials, aluminum, with a lot of, I'd say, machining technology that wasn't available at the time that this truck was built. And lighter is better. But I am often surprised at how light old cars are. They're huge. They look super heavy. But so many of them are actually lighter than a smaller modern car because they're not loaded up with computers. They're not loaded up with airbags. They're not loaded up with, all of the things that people load up modern cars with, whether it's because of regulation or just the desire to have more things in your car. These old cars are metal, glass, plastic, and not much extra. So anyway, I will stop the jibber jabber because the only way to get this project done is to get my hands dirty. So, and do it. So I'm super glad you're here, as always. And we're just gonna kind of bum around the shop today, see what we can accomplish and see what kind of fun we can have. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep driving. Okay. All right, I'll get out. I know, I'm not acting my age. You should try it sometime, it's fun. Well, here we are. How do we open this? Okay. Yeah. That's an engine. Cost clipper. So, well, Yeah, we're gonna get this engine running. So I don't know the entire history of this motor, and it wasn't on the original list for Old Blue to get done at all. But I contacted the owner just because I just had this feeling. Do you plan on driving the truck out of the shop, or are you putting it on a tow truck because it's not running? And, you know, I didn't know if you wanted to get it running yourself, or, you know, some people like tinkering. Some people want to save money, whatever, I don't know. So I just didn't want to assume anything. And he said, no, I'd like to drive it out of there. So if you could, he said it shouldn't be a big deal to get started, but if you could get it running. I said, okay, I'll put some gas in the tank. And now, you and I both know that what should be simple isn't always. It's not always. We will hope it is simple. It was running, it has run, but the fuel lines from the engine to the tank are completely bone dry because the tank had been drained. So I've got fuel in it now, but we got to get that fuel up to the fuel pump here. Which what I might do is I got a little electric fuel pump. I might hook it in down here and, well, I don't know why you're still standing over there. What? Do I smell bad? Am I sick? Are you sick? I don't know. You're welcome to join me under the hood here, and we can kind of chit-chat about it a little bit before we get going. Okay. So if you remember from the last time, we put a fuel pump on here, and the owner's got some sort of, I don't know if it's a drain or I don't know what it's for. I can't remember. But I might hook my electric pump with a fuel line on here and see if I can draw fuel at least up to this point, maybe even into here. And then we can get this fuel pump primed, and then maybe it'll start pumping fuel up to where we need it. So also I will probably, so this truck's been converted to 12 volt. I will probably make sure I'm getting spark. I'll do kind of what we did last week. I'll take this off, I'll crank it, I'll make sure that we're getting spark. I'll test my terminals here, make sure I'm getting power to the coil. I know I'm getting power to here, the starter solenoid. I know that's happening. So I'll plug in my remote starter here, and then we'll just start figuring out what the deal is. So I've already checked the oil. It's got good oil in it. Checked the coolant. We've got coolant in it. And so I'll start with the voltmeter, just so we're not chasing our tail to begin with before we get fuel up to it. As long as we've got spark, then we can work on the fueling aspect of it. So yeah, I don't really have anything for you to do, but if you know, no, I mean, I've swept, I've put stuff away. Maybe you could grab me another cup of coffee and then just chill a little, okay? Let me do the heavy lifting here. Oh, I don't know. So I've run into two issues before I can really even get started. I have one tiny bit of good news. I did witness spark in the distributor when I took the cap off. But the first issue we have is I am not getting the voltage I need to here. And then also, I don't know if you can see, but the wire that's going from the coil to the distributor, I don't think it's passing all of the, you know, electrons and protons and neutrons and, well, don't worry, it's complicated. The second thing is, as I'm doing all of my testing of the circuits, I've got this battery on a trickle charge. It was dead, I don't know, when I was working on it before. Well, we're at, 12.1 volts. But keep an eye on that when I turn the key on. Let's see if I can reach it. See that? That's just turning the key on. I mean, we're... So, I think this battery has a bad cell. Even though it appears to be new, I didn't put it in. And also, I'm gonna pull it out of there. It seems like it's bowing a little bit. That's not good. So, I think before I continue on in my diagnosis under the hood here, I need to make sure that I have the kind of power, reliable power. I don't trust that battery. So I'm gonna get another battery coming, and then once I get that popped in, we'll dive back into this knowing that I have reliable power to be able to test things. So it's always something, you know? This is all supposed to be, kind of basic and simple, but then, it keeps it interesting. You can't be bored because you never know what's going to go wrong before you can fix the thing that you really needed to fix in the beginning. So, all right, let me get online, get that thing ordered, and we'll be back with you shortly. All right, I have got a new battery in the truck. It's a good battery, and I even topped it off. And then, I don't know if you could tell by what I was doing, but I not only replaced the wire that ran from the coil to the distributor, but I also noticed this wire, which is actually just coated with, not coated, but this is like plastic tube or something, I guess, to protect it, protect it from the heat. And then, so I also replaced that wire. I snipped it in the loom here and in the loom down here, and just ran it up. I put a higher quality connector on it that's heat shrink This is the old one. It's not really that great. Also, I noticed this wire, this red one, was kind of not really that good. So let's see if I can find. So this was that wire that I just showed you. I just didn't like the way it looked, and it was attached, you know, to this one. But you can see that was the wire. This is the wire that was coming, well, the long one that I replaced that goes through that, you know, plastic tube. So I found that on that side, and then this is that short wire. We have it just looks terrible. And also these wires, you can kind of tell, they're original-ish. I mean, you can tell because of the shielding, or, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, this is plastic. This is like a cloth sort of thing. So I just put better connectors on, remade these wires with modern wires. And I think that will reduce any possible issues that I have. So right now I've got this electric pump. I got this clamp down here. I'm going to see if I can draw fuel up at least to this filter with that, and then if I can get it there, we'll prime the carburetor, see if we can crank it off. So I'm going to get to work on this, and we'll all come back together and see if we can get this thing started. Oh yeah. Before I do that, I got to run up to the house because my wife texted me and said, "Hey, caught a mouse in a mousetrap." And I said, "Would you like me to come up and get it?" Keep in mind, I know what the answer is to that question, but you know, I got to ask. And she said, "Yes, please." And so I'm going to go up and take care of that dead mouse, and then I'm going to come back down here and do this fuel. So I'll be right back. It is not even trying. Choked, not choked. Okay, so since it's not even trying, I smell so much varnish. I'm hoping this carburetor, I don't know. They put this truck away properly, drained all the fuel and everything, but when I flushed the fuel lines, there was still some varnishy fuel in there, and I'm guessing there was still some in the, come on, Bella. Some in the carburetor bowl, maybe. Hopefully it has not gummed anything up. I did spray some carb cleaner in there to try to break it up, and the fuel that I'm getting squirting out of it is kind of dark, which it shouldn't be. So, yeah, I will be right back with you after these messages. All right, I felt like it was a little bit too much advanced. Oh, I suppose it would help if I put the spark plug back in. Yeah, okay. Getting ahead of myself here. it was, yeah, the distributor was just a little bit too far advanced for my taste. It felt like it was not firing at the time that the cylinder needed it to. I've got it at top dead center right now. And we will see. We will see. I've got the distributor loose, or loose-ish, and so I can kind of adjust on it if I need to. So let's give this thing another try. Again, let me go on this side so I can work the throttle a little bit. Let's see. So that's choked. That is not choked. Try it not choked first. Okay. Now, just turning the motor. Well, you are going to fight me, aren't you? Should fire off. No spark. This coil's warm. Well, well, why does that keep popping off of there? Okay. Welp, I don't know. Let's take another look here. Okay. Accelerator pump's working. Just take a peek down the throat here. Okay. Yep, it's getting fuel. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to bump into you. Okay. This is reminiscent of the Mustang over here. Has everything. It needs nothing. It isn't firing. Let me put my thinking cap on for a minute. If you just want to take, bathroom break or something, I don't know. Whatever it is you do, You know, I'll be right back with you. I gotta study on this a minute. Just make sure I'm not missing something. I feel like I imagine a small tiny bit of what a doctor feels when he has to give bad news. I don't mean it's the same, but it's bad news, and nobody likes to be the bearer of bad news. That's where the term shoot the messenger came from. Nobody wanted to be that guy. It's a dangerous job. Well, I'll just take you through it. Where do I start? Well, I start with starting. That was the goal, to get the engine started. So I got fuel up to the pump. So the pump was pumping. I could see that it was working. We fixed those wires that ran to the coil and to the distributor, and I cleaned out the distributor, and I was getting great spark. I checked the plugs, great spark. What else? Oh, I double checked the timing. Timing was fine. So, if you've got spark and you've got fuel, you've got timing, really the thing that's missing possibly is compression. So I hooked my compression tester, up to it and cranked the motor, and absolutely zero compression. I was like, oh, my thing must be broke. It must be broken. You always deny the reality in front of your face. It was definitely broken, but no, it wasn't broken. So I pulled the valve cover off, because the only thing that could cause no compression in a cylinder at that point would be a stuck valve. So let me see what the valve train is doing as I'm cranking it over. Well, let me get my flashlight. I didn't have to really go far to discover with my own eyes. So we're just gonna scan, just scan. Whoop, yep, okay, that's a problem. Okay, still scanning. Well, that seems to be a problem. Still scanning. Okay, sure. So, kind of what we have is a lot of bent push rods. So we're going to pivot. We just pivoted, see that? And start happy music again. Nobody likes sad music. let's do happy music. Old Blue is, well, he's just gonna sit there for probably another week and a half until the owner decides what he wants to do. So, it's up to them. And I think that they'll fix it, but as with anything, when you have a death in the family, there's got to be a grieving process. So we'll give them time to process all of that and come up with a plan. And then hopefully, it sees us getting Old Blue back on the road with a rebuilt motor and all of that. So in the meantime, since we just came to a screeching halt on that project, Leroy came back. If you remember, 1984 Dodge, you know, half-ton, two-wheel drive, you know, it's got some expert Bondo work on it. It's a two-tone, which is nice. I actually like the brown and tan two-tone. Some people don't, but some people would be have no taste. So basically, that's what I have to say about that. This truck was swapped. A 318 was in it. It has a 360 in it now. It was in here last time because it had problems. Vacuum leaks, just stuff. I ended up putting a new carburetor on it, fixing all the vacuum leaks, fixing the fuel line that was rusted, fixing a brake line that was rusted through, and he brought it back. He says it's running great. But the steering column is what we're going to get into, because at some point in its life, someone, I don't know, took a hatchet to it. All the plastic and everything's broken and the wires are sketchy, and also it has some sort of voltage drop when you're coming to a stop. And I think, if you remember last time, there was this very crispy wire that came off the battery, and I believe it's the one that comes around to the alternator. I think we've got a voltage drop going on there. So we might track that down. So, you know, you can stick around, grab another cup of coffee if you want. You're not going to make Leroy feel bad if you just walk away at this point, because, you know, he's pretty secure in himself, I think. So, but we're going to dive into that, make him more drivable. Honestly, you know, he's growing on me. I hate to admit it. I hate to say it in front of him. I don't want to make him feel more important than he is, but he's growing on me. Again, not usually the kind of thing that I accept. Let's just put it that way. But it's a great truck. I just love it. So I'm beginning to love it more, and just don't tell anybody, okay? You don't know why you love what you love. So no judgment, no judgment. I'm also glancing over here to my right, which is Mr. F. I have his hood off, and it's supposed to be warm this week, so I might fiddle on him a little bit on my off time. So anyway, that's what we're doing. So let's dive in, take two, on what we're doing this week. But it's all pickup trucks, so it's related. It's all related. Ford, Dodge. It's got a bed in the back. It never has to be made. So. Okay, let me take you into what I've been doing. I know you just were drifting off there on your Barca Lounger. I don't even know what a Barca Lounger is. I think it's like a Lazy Boy. It's a brand that used to be and isn't anymore, I think. Anyway, that was before my time, I think. I don't know for sure. Anyway, wake up, because I'm just gonna kind of take you in on my progress under the hood here and kind of what I've been doing. So, I've replaced the line, wire, feed, whatever you want to call it, from the alternator. It goes all the way around. It's got some wire loom on it that ends about there. And I've got it coming in here to this fuse holder. I'm waiting on a fuse to go in here. It's a 50 amp. It'll protect the circuit, you know? That's what they're for. So this one has remained unchanged. That goes to the starter, you know, starter circuit. I've replaced this wire, which I've already got loomed up. It goes up into here. You can see that. It's a lot nicer wire. I will show you the wire that was in there. It's this wire. Do you see all these little cracks everywhere? See that crack? So when I pulled this out, none of those cracks were there. And all I did was kind of twist it in my hands, or not twist it, but just like bend it, and it just cracked. See, it's doing it there. Whoops, can you see it? It's just, that's how bad this wire was. And this is the one that runs from here all the way over to here. So I put a new wire. That could have been a fire hazard at some point. And then this is the other thing. This is the other thing. So as you know, if you remember, I don't know what you remember, you know, how much apple juice you've had since between then and now. But the customer complained of that voltage drop where wipers were slow, radio was dimming, all of that. So the place that I went to look is the fusible links. So this is the wire here that used to be this one. So as you can see, I've replaced it with a bigger one. But what it did is it went back, attached to another wire back there, but then came around and split into 4. And these 4, as you can see right here, are 4 fusible links. So this one happens to be the one that goes to the alternator. I have since replaced that with this nice 8-gauge wire that will be much better. But if you kind of take a look, I don't know, there's been some repairs going on here at different times. Maybe someone replaced the fusible links at one point. You see that? If you look up into here, do you see that? You can see the wire, it's actually quite green. My suspicion is that these fusible links, this whole paraphernalia, cornucopia of concern. So it's just words. It is contributing mightily to the issues that he's complaining of. So, this is my solution, which you've already seen. We've got a 50 amp fuse going here to protect the circuit. And then this line here that's just loose is going to go to a fuse block, which is going to replace this mess here. So this isn't the fuse block that I'm going to use, but this is similar to what I will be using. So basically this will be coming from that 50 amp feed. And then these will be the breakers, essentially. Well, they're going to replace the fusible links, and then we'll come out from there into the car to feed the fuse panel and all that stuff. So the reason I'm not using this one is that I bought it, it came here, and it didn't have a cover for it. I thought I had a cover. I need to protect it from moisture. Not necessarily direct water spray, but just moisture getting in there. So I've got another one coming that has a cover on it. And when that shows up, I will snip out all of those fusible links and wire that fuse box in there. And I think it's gonna be good. So anyway, let me get to that, and then I'll show you that, and we'll move on to something else. So just hang out. Yeah, just enjoying the music. I just got lost in it, lost in the tunes. Well, okay, you already saw what I was doing, but let's go in one more time and just kind of go over it. What's that? Well, I don't know, I just felt like it was truck music, you know? It's truck day, doing trucks, and you know, country music, banjo music, it's all truck music, to me at least. I don't know. Also, you know, maybe hard rock could be truck music, I guess. I don't feel like, you know, Vivaldi or Beethoven, I don't feel like that's truck music per se, but I'm not gonna probably make eye contact if I see a guy driving by in his truck playing Beethoven. You know, we'll just kind of, you know, different strokes for different folks. So that's, it's an interesting question, but you know, I guess there's no stupid questions. That's the saying, I guess. Yeah, anyway, let's go in here and see what's up. So I haven't gotten any loom or wrap on these wires yet. I'm gonna wait until I'm sure everything's functioning under the dash and all of that too. But you can see we've got our maxi fuse, then we've got that line going, well, from the alternator essentially, and then we've got a little tiny short line running to this fuse block, which is replacing our fusible links. And then those just come out and head toward the interior of the vehicle. Also, this little wire here, I actually don't know where it goes. No idea. But I replaced it because this is what it looked like. Actually, it didn't look entirely like that. This is what I saw. And then as I kept stripping back the loom, every time I'd pull on the wire, it would crack some more. It's just crispy wires. So I just replaced that because I saw exposed wire and it looked a little greenish to me. Anytime you see that, you're not getting good flow of electricity. So here's the fusible link. So again, this is the wire that came from the battery. It split into four different, arms or whatever. I believe this one went to the alternator, if I remember right. So that's the one we replaced with the bigger wire. And then these three went to the interior of the vehicle. But you can just see, this has been replaced before, but I mean, look at that. I think this is our voltage drop problem, okay? So we're just gonna, well, I guess I could have put it in the garbage. All right, fine. So he also complained that the wiper motor runs, but the wipers aren't doing the wiping motion. So I peered down in here, and I don't know if you can see, if you get a good view of that or not, but that's the wiper motor arm, and there is nothing attached to it. So that would make sense then, why it's not working. So we've got, this cowl is fastened here with these, well, there's a missing one, but with these screws. I'm gonna take this, I'll have to take the wiper arms off, remove the cowl, and fish down in there and see if I can figure out why it popped off of there. Hopefully, just pop it back on, put this cowl back on here, and Bob's your uncle. Well, he's my uncle. I don't know. I actually have two Uncle Bobs. Well, I had two Uncle Bobs. Well, technically I still have them, but one is no longer with us, and the other one still is. So, two Uncle Bobs. So, what I'm really here for, let's just show you. Let's just show you, okay? I hear you yelling. You're like, show me the dang steering column. Just get to it. Check this out. This is new since the last time. I actually kind of love it. Every time I look at it, it makes me laugh. I guess it's doing its job. Good for Wile E. Coyote. On that note, I always thought the Roadrunner was a bully, frankly. I mean, sure, Wiley's stupid, but the Roadrunner could have just let him chase him and fail, but no, didn't do that. Turnaround's fair play, and yeah, it never turned out good for Wiley. As you can see by the dent in the side of the truck. So, let's take a little peek at this. You can kind of see the tape and whatnot on the steering column. It's been boogered up, just by looking at it, you can see it. There's some possible wiring woes going on under here. So I'm going to remove this steering column and fix any wiring that needs to be fixed. This is the new used one, which I also have to just kind of double check before I go to all the trouble. Just make sure it's right. Yeah, the owner said that he took a look at it and thought it looked exactly the same. I have not yet, so I will trust, but verify. Let's not pull this one out if that one's not going to work. So, but I got some more avoiding to do in the form of taking this cowl off and fixing the wipers. So let's get to it. Let's say, I don't know. You pick the music. I don't even care. Just make it something upbeat, and you know, trucky, pick-upy. Yeah. I met all my wives in traffic jams because there's something women like about a pickup man. So. Real quick, volume down, just real quick. Just down for a minute and we'll get back to it. I was just gonna show you. So this is the wiper arm. This is where the wiper motor, you know, it's attached. And this is what's attached to the arms that, you know, rotate the wiper blades. So this is a bushing, or what's left of it. Not much of one. And this is the new bushing. So that bushing will go on there. And then if you take a peek kind of here at this arm, you can see that little notch there corresponds with that little tab on the bushing. So I'm just gonna put it back together, put the cowl back on, and jump on the steering column. So volume up again. I just had to show you real quick. So I've been chasing around some wiring issues. Down here, as you can see, I've used some shrink butt connectors to repair 3 wires on the ignition switch. So those 3 wires and all of this whole bundle, I don't know if you can see that, but they're basically just kind of twisted together with tape on them. So it's terrible. It's just terrible. So I've been going through and using shrink butt connectors on them to get good connections, and also more importantly, so that they don't short out on each other. I don't know that's what they were doing, but they certainly weren't doing anything good. So I'm gonna finish this last one here, and then I think this steering column is supposed to be grounded as well. I don't know that it is. So I'm gonna check into that, make sure it is grounded properly for all these circuits to work correctly. You can see, you know, the way the steering column is, all the wires. I just don't know. I think someone possibly was trying to replace maybe the blinker switch. This is really wobbly. It's pretty bad. Or something. I'm not sure what was going on, but it's all ripped apart. So, and all of these wires were just twisted together. So, and I mean, I'm not being super hard on the guy, I guess, who did it. Maybe he was, you know, in somebody's backyard in the dark with a flashlight just trying to get this thing home. And that's what he had. He didn't have any connectors. And then, as you and I both know happens, this is the story I'm making up in my mind. If it keeps working, you just kind of forget about it. But eventually, something like that's going to stop working because it's stupid. It's not a good system. So, there. Was I nice enough to whoever did that? Did I show kindness? You know, just be nice. I don't know his situation. Maybe his dog just died and he just was so distraught he could not bring himself to do the job correctly. Again, it could be true. Could be true. So I'm just going to wrap these real quick so they're easier to handle in a bundle. And then we won't go too far ahead of ourselves before we see if there's been any improvement. I also replaced the wiper switch. Okay, I have got some things to say. That's why I'm talking. Yes. Okay. Let's just take two on that. We can't take two. Are we live? Is this live? Oh, okay. It's just you and me. We're just live. Okay. So we're gonna just kind of explain what you were looking at inside the cab here. After I, taped all of this stuff up, let me get a light. I don't know if it will make any difference, but typically light does make a difference. So I don't really know. Okay, so this is the deal. I started chasing up under the dash some grounding issues. There's a ground strap from the radio going to another like grounding block, and it was just all loosey-goosey. It wasn't getting a good ground there. So I just chased a couple things under the dash. Also the wipers, I had forgotten to lubricate, I think. If I remember right, it's been a lot of stuff, but I took the cowl off, re-lubricated all of the linkage since we were there. The other thing, since I had the instrument bezel out, I just went ahead and replaced the bulbs in it. It's easy to do while it's out. Bulbs are super cheap, and then we know that we have all good lighting in the dashboard for the gauges. So, another thing, the steering column still isn't out of the truck. Now, I hear your accusing tone in saying that I have simply avoided doing what I set out to do in the first place. Au contraire. That's French for you're being contrary. This is the issue. This was listed on eBay as the correct steering column for this truck. Well, it's not. The measurement here is different. This arm is shorter. None of it even looks the same. And yeah, it's, I don't know. It's this plug-in is correct-ish. But this column is not going to work in this truck without a little bit of modification. But I did go online and find a new, essentially a housing. So this is a tilt column, which that other one isn't. But this piece here, that all of the turn signal and cruise control and ignition and all of that is in, I found a replacement one. So I'm waiting for that. We're not going to get to that this week. But what we are going to get to is to see how our wiring went. You know, let's start the truck. Let's turn on the lights. Let's turn on the wipers, which were very slow. Lights were dim. Things were not as they should. If everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing, I'll just loom up all of the wiring that I've done, call that good, and we'll wait for that steering piece to come in. We'll pop that in next week. I say pop that in. It's going to be, you know, it'll take us a little bit of time. But that's the last thing we have to do on this truck. So what I'm going to do, let's turn out some lights here so we can see dash lights and whatnot, so forth and so on. And I can already see the dome light, super bright. Oh no. You can't see my face because it's dark, but there's a foolish look on it because it's not the dome lights. It's actually just the light I put in there. There are no dome lights because I don't think the battery's hooked up. So let's, I'm glad it's dark, or it would have been just foolishness all the way around. Okay, let me just want to make sure we're getting a really good ground. Okay. Okay, that's a good ground. Okay, so let us see what we have. Okay, now we have dome lights. Okay, we have that dome light. We've got this little map light under here. That's kind of cool. All right, let's turn parking lights on. All right, I can see them. I don't know if you can see them. It's still kind of bright in here. Let's turn some headlights on. We've got some headlights on. Beautiful. All right, let's turn some wipers on. Whoops, I need the key to do that. I'm just full of genius moves today. Okay. Oh, look at that. We have not seen power like that in forever. There we go. Sometimes I like to just sit up like that. I don't understand why. All right, let's see if we get to crankage. Look at that. Isn't that great? Wonderful. We've got everything's lit up just the way that it should be, except this. There are no lights on this. Well, I didn't mess with that. I'm just saying, observing no lights to that. But we've got lights down here on all of that stuff. Beautiful. This is what we wanted. And then, oh, turn signals. Look at that. Bright turn signals. Oh man, before we had one working over here, one not here, but when you turn that one on, the brake light would come on. Yeah, this is amazing. Amazing. Okay. I just, there's something completely satisfying about problem solving and fixing the problem and seeing the results of your work. It's one of the reasons I love what I do. I love that I'm working on old cars and trucks because I love the era, I love the style, I love the simplicity. And then aside from that, I love the problem solving. It is so completely satisfying to make something better. You know, it's deteriorated over time, and then we've discovered where it's deteriorated, we've repaired it, made it better, and now it can just be on the road. The owner can enjoy it. If it was my truck, I would be enjoying it. And yeah, I just love it. So, I think we're gonna call it quits on this episode. Let me see if I got any apple juice in my juice fridge, and we'll have a seat for a minute. Take a break from Truck Week. I'm naming every week that we have now, so. Oh, you know, speaking of sayings, seems like there's a lot of competing sayings out there. You know, like, never give up. It's a great saying. But then you should quit while you're ahead. That's another saying. So never give up or quit while you're ahead. I would say, you know, quit while you're ahead is bad advice if, say, you're a race car driver. That doesn't make any sense. But it might make a lot of sense if you just won, you know, 100 grand on the slot machines in Vegas. So I guess the sayings just kind of depend on the situation. It's very, very confusing. Cheers, by the way. Thanks for hanging out with me this week. We kind of had I wouldn't say a fail, but kind of a fail on Old Blue. You know, it was really sad to see that his engine had taken a dive. His owner said that he'd been driving him the last couple summers, so I don't know. Maybe it was just time. I feel bad that it was just time in my shop, but I mean, as far as we know, it happened even before I got here because I never even tried to start it. Wasn't on the list of things to do till later. So it may be a couple weeks before we hear back on that one, kind of what he's going to decide to do. So we've already got some time and money in it. I think he'll have the work done. It's kind of a heartbreak. So we shifted over to Leroy Brown, the truck I hate to love, but I do, and just fixed some wiring issues and discovered that the steering column wouldn't work. So I don't know what we're doing next week, but it's possible we'll be putting that steering column back together and sending Leroy down the road. Also, I've got an engine to build. I've got a project coming in that we're replacing a 305 with a 350. And I've got the 350 here, it's been built. I just need to assemble it, get it ready, and make an appointment to get it dynoed. And that project will be coming soon. But we may start putting that engine together next week. So anyway, as always, I'm just super humbled that you would spend time with me, that you'd like, that you would be a subscriber. It's pretty cool. So we're a small group right now, but honestly, I'm kind of a small group guy. Really just a one-on-one guy, if you want to be honest. I don't really like crowds that much. So, but I'm super glad you're here. You're not a crowd. Cheers, and hopefully we'll see you next week on Cars Are People Too. I know, it's just my radio voice.